to shatter Yisrael, it was not the Beis Hamikdash, rather it was the kibush, the conquest that happened starting with Yeshua, or Beis Dinoi, culminating with David HaMelech. And that Kedusha lies as the kibush. When the Yidden were driven out of Eretz Yisrael, Sancherev, then Nebuchadnezzar, and the Goyim took control over the Har Bayis and Yerushalayim, so the Kedusha did not stay, did not remain. But in the second time around, when the Yidden returned to Eretz Yisrael, the Oilei Bavel, this time they did not take it by force. It was given to them, it was by consent, Melech Kodesh. So we took hold of it as a chazaka, not as a kibush. And this the Rambam says, this kedusha that happened through chazaka never left. That continues in Eretz Yisrael, which is pretty much all of Eretz Yisrael except for the south, Ashkelon, Negev. So in practice, in Parul Mamish today, in the Shita of the Rambam, what that means is the following. Walking on the Har Bayis today, when we don't have the Eif of the Para Aduma, and we are considered to be Tmei Meis, could be a Chi of Karis. It depends where on the Har Bayis you're walking. If you're walking in the Makim HaMikdash, that is from the Ezes Yisrael inward, it's a Chi of Karis. If you walk outside of the Ezes Yisrael, but you're within the Soidik, the inner wall, it's Asa D'Rabbanan. If you're walking outside of the Soidik, between there and the Choymes of the Har Bayis, that's Mutar L'Chatchila. And the Rambam himself talks about his experience in walking on the Har Bayis. And there were earlier Rishonim that there was a shul on the Har Bayis, and they used to walk there. They used to learn there. They used to hang out there. Today it's different, because today we don't have the Messiah of exactly where was the Beis Hamikdash. After the Crusades came in, and they did not let any Yidden go on the Har Bayis, they did not let any Yidden live in Yerushalayim, and that lasted for hundreds of years. And because of that, there are different opinions to exactly where is the Beis Hamikdash, where is Eretz Yisrael. And it ranges from Tzafin to Darim and anywhere in between. Most people think it's the Dome of the Rock, but even there, what was there? Was it the Kodesh Kedoshim? Was it the Mizbeach? So because we don't know exactly where it is, we don't go there, we keep away from it. Now, there are people who feel like they do know where it is, and it's based on the Chila from the Dvaz, who mapped out where everything was. And that's why today there are people who will walk on the Har Bayis. The official position of the Rabbanut in Eretz Yisrael was not to go there. There's a sign there that says Asr, not to go onto the Har Bayis, Asr. But that sign has become political, because many people want to take down that sign. Many people want to switch the nusach of the sign, that it's a machlokes, it's not the vaday. The Rebbe, the shita was to keep away from the Har Bayis, because it's a mirshal for people who are not shoyim b'Torah mitzvahs, and don't know all the halachas, and there's so many halachas that are tied in with the Har Bayis, that they may walk there, and they may even walk on those places that they could be a Chiyuv Kares. And so we should keep away from that. But it's clear from the Rambam that if you were to walk on the Har HaBayis, and you're walking on a place where there was a Beis Hamikdash and the Eretz Yisrael inward, there's a Chi of Kodesh because the Kedusha is still there. The Kedusha never ended, never left. And in the shit of the Rambam, Lu Yitzur, if we had today the Para Aduma, the Eif of the Para Aduma, even though we don't have the Beis Hamikdash, we would bring Korbanos on the Har HaBayis. The Kedusha is there. And the Rambam mentions that in one of the halachos where he talks about Ezra coming back to the Bavel, that there were the three Nevi'im. One Navi came to tell you exactly where the Mizbeach has to be, another Navi to tell you the exact dimensions of the Mizbeach, and the third Navi was there to tell us that you don't need the Beis Hamikdash to bring Korbanos. You could bring it on the Mizbeach even though you don't have the Beis Hamikdash. And there were times that we had the Eifah part, we didn't have the Beis Hamikdash. Whether it was when Hurdis did the renovation in the Beis Hamikdash, or right after the Churban Bayis Sheni, we still had the Eifah part of Aduma. And so it become a shayla, whether you bring Korbanos then or not. But in the shit of the Rambam, you bring Korbanos, and not only you bring Korbanos, you eat the korban, and if it's kachim kalim, you can eat it anywhere in Yerushalayim. And you can eat it anywhere in Yerushalayim, even though the walls are not standing anymore. Originally you needed the walls, but once you had the walls, and you had the Kedusha, HaKedusha ain't a zazim em kaimer, the Kedusha is nitzchis, the Kedusha maintained it, never left. What about Maisa Sheni today? You don't have to be Tahar, Tamei Maisa, eat Maisa Sheni. Can one eat Maisa Sheni today in Yerushalayim? That's an exception that you can't do, because to eat Maisa Sheni, there has to be the B'fnei HaBayis, you have to have the Beis Hamikdash. However, when you had the Beis Hamikdash, let us say, and the walls of Yerushalayim came down, you could still eat the Maisa Sheni because it's not dependent on the chayma, on the wall. The Kedusha is there.
He closed his eyes and yelled, "Stop!"
When it comes to the rest of Eretz Yisrael, so those places that the Oivin Bavel took hold of in Eretz Yisrael, and that has the Kedusha, so Lu Yitzur, all the Yidden were living today in Eretz Yisrael, the chiyuv of Shavis would be min ha-Torah. But because not everyone is in Eretz Yisrael, the chiyuv is midrabanan. But there's still a difference in Eretz Yisrael between those places that the Oilid Bavel came back and took chazaka and those which didn't. Because those places the Oilid Bavel came and took chazaka of, there's a issue also on the svichim and that which grows by itself. The parts of Eretz Yisrael that the Oilid Bavel did not take chazaka of, over there svichim could be mutter. That's the shit of the Rambam. The Ravid has a whole different mahalach. According to the Ravid, the Kedusha of the Har HaBayis and Yerushalayim is tied in with the Beis Hamikdash. It's tied in with the Chayim of Yerushalayim. And once there was the Churban of the Beis Hamikdash, there was no longer any Kedusha on the Har HaBayis. And that's why, according to the Ravid, walking on the Har HaBayis, it doesn't matter where you're walking, there is no Chi of Kodesh. And according to the Meiri, in the shit of the Ravid, it's mutar lechatchila. Lechatchila, you're allowed to walk anywhere in the Har HaBayis. There's no kedusha. If you had the paraduma today, but you don't have the Beis Hamikdash, you can't bring korbanos. There's no kedusha there. There's in Mabal Basa, one of the Rishonim, the Rameh, concurs with the Ravid, and he brings a Ravid from the Gemara that says that if there's cracks in the shul, that you're allowed to tear down the shul to renovate it, even if there's no other shul to daven. You're left without a shul, you can still do it. Al derech Chal Shabbos Achas for many other Shabbosim. And the raya that he said is that Hurdis took down the Beis Hamikdash even though we did not bring any kabbanis. He was mevatel kabbanis. According to the Rambam, you were not mevatel kabbanis, you still brought the kabbanis. But that's not in the shita, that's in the shita that I did. You certainly cannot eat, according to the Ravid, Maisa Sheni in Yerushalayim. You don't have the base of Mikdash. You can't eat Kachim Kalim, you can't eat Maisa Sheni. And one of the kashas, the questions that the Ravid asks on the Rambam who says that the Kedusha in Yerushalayim is not connected to the walls of Yerushalayim, so he asked that the Rambam himself paskins that if you brought Maisa Sheni into Yerushalayim when the walls are there, talk about the time of the Beis HaMikdash, and then the wall came down, the Rambam paskins, you cannot eat that Maisa Sheni. You have to let that Maisa Sheni decay. Why would that be the case? If the Kedusha is no longer dependent on the wall, why should it matter that the wall came down? Not only that, I should be able to bring the Maisa Sheni into Yerushalayim even when there was no wall lechatchila. The Kedusha is there. So the mission of the Melech, he defends the Rambam and he says there's a difference of bringing Maisa Sheni into Yerushalayim when there's no walls at all, that you can eat the Maisa Sheni because the Kedusha is there, to a case when you brought it in Maisa Sheni when the wall is standing and then the wall came down. That's worse. It's worse that the wall was there and it came down than if there was no wall at all. If there's no walls at all, bring in the Maisa Sheni and you can eat it. The Kedusha is there. But you brought it in when the wall is standing and now the wall came down, it hurts the Maisa Sheni. It's like splitting hairs. If the Kedusha is there, why should it matter if the wall came down? But then maybe you could compare it to a case of you have an esrog. Esrog doesn't mean to have a pitum to be kosher. But if there was a pitum broke, that's a problem. We have a shtar without any Aiden could be kosher, but you have a shtar and there's Aiden that are puzzle, that's mezuyif b'teicha, that's more of a problem. But here's where it becomes interesting according to the Ravid, because when it comes to the rest of Eretz Yisrael, here the Ravid says that he is prepared to take the position that the Kedusha in the rest of Eretz Yisrael is still there. Kedusha in Har Habayis, Yerushalayim, is no longer there, but with the rest of the Eretz Yisrael, there could still be Kedusha. Why? So he gives a svara. What's a svara? Svara's like this. He says when it comes to the Har Habayis and Yerushalayim, there was no need to make that Kedusha nitzchis. Why? Because everybody knew the Beis HaMikdash is going to come back. Shechina is going to come back. The Kedusha that's going to permeate the Har Habayis and Yerushalayim is greater than what any person can do. So why do you mix? There's no point in anyone trying to make that Kedusha eternal. We don't need anyone to add to that. There's no point in adding. The Kedusha is so great, so high. What are you contributing? But when it comes to the rest of Eretz Yisrael, it doesn't have the Beis HaMikdash, it doesn't have the Kedusha from the Shechina. So here they gave it reinforcement, and they made that the Kedusha should be nitzchis. It's a svara that he gives. On what does he base the svara? There's no marker like this in the Gemara to say that there's no Kedusha in Har Habayis and Yerushalayim, but there's Kedusha in the rest of Eretz Yisrael. And the Ravid said his marker is Soy Hashem Lireo. This is it's a secret from the Eibishter that he gives Lireo to those who have Yerushalayim. Like a Nevuah. Chaim Vital says that the Ravid brought us into his Nevuah 2 times. Once in Hilchas Sukkah, and the second time is here in Hilchas Beis HaBechira. Now, it's not Nevuah Mamish, because if it was Nevuah Mamish, then we don't have to take his word seriously, because Torah Lei Bashamayim. So the way it's understood, it's not a Kavanah, it's more like a Ruach HaKodesh. The idea is that he was able to be mechaven through his own understanding to Amitis HaIdim. That's the Sod Hashem. The consensus is like the Shita the Rama, and we treat the Harabayis, Yerushalayim, and we say that the Kedusha that's there, the Kedusha that's there today is the Kedusha that I was before, the Kedusha never left. Now in Tovshin Chavches, we ever gave a Sikha. This was after the 6-Day War. And that Sikha was Muna. And the Rebbe asked that Sikha be sent to Shlomo Zalman Zevin. And in
Shlomo Zevin.
Shlomo Zevin, yeah. And in it, in the Sikha, the Rebbe tells the people who are living in Yerushalayim on Erev Pesach that for a certain period of time that they should all leave. And certainly nobody should come into Yerushalayim. Not only in Pesach Rishon, but also in Pesach Sheni. Because the din is, if you were in a Malkim Rachid, Pesach Rishon, you still have the Chiyuv of Pesach Sheni. So the Rebbe told the people to leave, and certain people should not come back, because the Rebbe argued is that Harabayis today is, we have control. And since we have control, we could bring a Kabul Pesach, and not doing so could be a Chiyuv Karms. To avoid all the problems and all the fakers, the Rebbe said, told people to do. Now, after 1973, the Rebbe then said that given the facts and the reality on the ground that Israel already gave over the control, gave over the keys, so to speak, and the management to the Goyim, it's not a possibility that we would be able to bring the Kabul Pesach. And as such, the Rebbe then said that everything that was said before, the matzah has changed. I didn't see the whole Sikha. Okay, I saw the Rashi Prakim of the Sikha. But I mean, some ideas that come to mind. I read the Sikha. First of all, how would we be able to, let's say we have control and we could bring the Kabul Pesach. Right? How do we overcome the problem that with Tamei mace, and you need to have, right, and you need to have the Eifa Paraduma. So the captain says that that's not a problem, because Tuma, Hutra B'tzibah, or Hutra B'tzibah, whichever way you learn, and therefore if everybody's Tamei, that's not a problem. But what about the issue of the Mizbeach that has to be Mechuvin B'Yoyse? You have to know exactly where the Mizbeach is to be able to bring a carbon. How would we know where it is? So, 3 answers that could possibly come to my mind. Number one, the Shittas that say they know exactly where the Mizbeach is. You can follow that Shitta. Number 2, maybe this idea of Mizbeach Mechuven B'Yoyse is Alechachillah gesagt, doesn't mean that you have that you can't bring a carbon there. But number 3, V'hu Ikeh, the Rebbe will tell us exactly where the Mizbeach has to be. The end of Hilchos Malachim, where the Rambam talks about Hilchos Mashiach. So the Rambam writes there that in Yamud, right, if there be a Melech, based David, Hoyge v'Toyre Mitzvahs, and will be Yaakov Kol Boi Olam, Areza the Cheskas Mashiach. And if he is going to be Mekabetz into Yisrael, v'yivne Beis HaMikdash b'Mkoimoi, Areza Mashiach b'Vad. Why is it Negeya to talk about Cheskas Mashiach? If you're Mashiach, Mashiach B'Vad. Why will it make a difference if someone's a Cheskas Mashiach or not? That was a Sefer Halachos. Chesed Hazak didn't matter. It is going to matter. Why? Because to build the base of Mikdash, you have to be a Navi, really. To say exactly where the Mizbeach has to be, Mechuvan b'Yosef, that it shouldn't be off by even one iota, you have to be a Navi to know exactly where it is. So who's going to be the one to tell us where it is? If someone has a Cheskas Mashiach, like Mashiach is going to be a Navi. So therefore, once it's Chesed Mashiach, and Mashiach says that this is where you have to build the Mizbeach, then that's the way it has to happen. And that will tell us exactly where the Mizbeach is. Going now into Chodesh Av, and Mishon Nichnas Av, so Memartin Simcha, Shamter says, Memartin and Avelis, how? This Simcha, by being more of a Simcha, Simcha Shal they say Ein Simcha Katolis Asfekis. The biggest Simcha is to resolve the Asfekis. He does that this whole suffering of whether the Kedusha is continued or not continued, everything we've been talking about should be resolved with the ultimate solution, with the building of the base of Mikdash.
Amen.